I have some concerns about this show. So let me explain myself. Star Wars is back, and can I just take a moment to remind all of us that no matter if you don't like a Star Wars movie or show, there was always that sense of anticipation, and I think that just shows how deeply we care about the story and this universe. So let's get right into it, and this is a non-spoiler review. So first off, I love all the performances. The actors are brilliant in the roles. The music was amazing, and even though this wasn't John Williams and he had nothing to do with the score, it felt like Star Wars. The effects are amazing, and the people at ILM continue to be masters of their craft. But that being said, I thought it was slow, but in a good way. Right after I watched Ahsoka's first 2 episodes, here's what I did, because I was curious. Why did I feel that this was slow? And in my gut, I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm not gonna like this. So I had to go back to watch the first 2 episodes of shows that I love, The Mandalorian and Andor, because both of those shows, although they had great action and although they told great stories, I thought at first, at least when I first got introduced to the first 2 episodes, definitely the first episode, I thought they were a little slow. But why did I love them as a complete series? The reason why I loved them was because they weren't trying to be showy and do too much with action sequences or blatant humor at every turn like a Marvel movie. I love Marvel movies, so don't tell me I don't love Marvel movies, but come on. The humor, it's Marvel humor. And Star Wars tried to do it. They tried to do it in the sequel trilogy. Didn't work. But back to my point. I loved Andor and Mandalorian because they were developing stories with compelling characters and building to a payoff to the final few episodes of the seasons. Even in the all-time shows that I love, Mad Men and Breaking Bad, even in video games that I played and love, like Fallout 3, it took me a little while to start to enjoy the story, but I gave it time. And I think after watching the first 2 episodes, this is the feeling in my gut that I got. It was a little slow, but like I said, in a good way. I think it tells me that they're really developing something. They don't rush to things. They don't just want to pay you off with every scene trying to end in a climax. So I think there are a lot of positives in these first 2 episodes. Definitely it made me feel good. It was a great time to watch. But here is another concern that I have. I think people who watch this show for the first time and don't know who Ahsoka is, I think they won't enjoy the show without having seen some of the Clone Wars and pretty much all of Rebels. I think that's the major catch with this series. You can't just start it like The Mandalorian. I know people who never watched Star Wars before that became Star Wars fans through The Mandalorian. But with Ahsoka, at least with these first 2 episodes, you definitely need to prime yourself and watch this series having watched Clone Wars or at least Rebels. But going back to my first thoughts, I think if you were on the fence about this show after the first 2 episodes and you don't like it, I think you should give this at least 3 to 4 episodes. I'm hoping that they use these next 2 episodes to build more character. Then in the final 4 episodes, the real situations and the resolutions start to happen. The Star Wars action we love starts to unfold, and the characterization that they are going to be building, I think, in these first 4 episodes, I think that by the time episode 5 hits, you're going to love these characters, become even more afraid for them when they are in danger, and cheer for them when they overcome difficulty. Just like in the final episodes of the Clone Wars and the last episodes of Rebels and in The Mandalorian, remember that final episode of season 2? Or in Andor, when they escape that prison? I actually cheered for them. If you don't have goosebumps at the end of those, you're not a Star Wars fan, or you're a really rigid Star Wars fan. I'm hoping for that same thing in Ahsoka, and I really think they're building up to that. If I don't have that, then I think this series will have failed because Dave Filoni couldn't meet those expectations that were set in his own series, The Clone Wars, Rebels, Mandalorian Season 2, and Andor, the final, I would say, 3 episodes. But I am very optimistic that my favorite Star Wars character of all time, Ahsoka Tano, has more to give us than what we saw in these first 2 episodes. I do give these first 2 episodes a solid 8.5 out of 10. And maybe when the season ends and I do a rewatch of the entire series, that might go higher. But my gut-based reaction on all of that, I think that's a fair score. I think it was a great start to the series. I am very optimistic, and I think come the last episode of the series, we're going to get those goosebumps. Filoni, don't disappoint me. Going back to The Mandalorian and Andor, I was really impressed with the world that they created around those characters. And those shows, at least in the first 2 seasons of Mando and the first season of Andor, are masterpieces. And I'm hoping that Mr. Dave Filoni is saving the best for last. But the one thing I will say, it seems that Ahsoka is holding back her inner Snips. Did you feel that too? I know that Snips is still in there, and I'm hoping that something happens either in a flashback or encounters with Sabine that brings back at least a little bit of Snips. Right now, Ahsoka Tano is acting like a stoic samurai, like a Jedi should, but as Ahsoka said herself, I am no Jedi. So let's wait and see what happens next. If you like this video, please give it a like. That does support the channel because this is a new channel. And please subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thanks everybody, and I will see you next time.